What's up, crew? This is Trainer Tia coming to you with a special segment on fuel, hydration, and salt for long endurance events, specifically for the Rim to River this year for the 2020. Don't mind my sunglasses. I'm outside and it's hot and bright AF, so I gotta keep my glasses on so I'm not squinting at you the whole time. I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet, okay? You need to be mindful of all three of those: fuel, salt, and hydration at all times for any endurance events, specifically though for this Rim to River. Okay, and for those of you that are training in Phoenix throughout this heat, you're gonna have to be even more conscious than those of you that are in cooler environments, okay? So let's go piece by piece. Let's start with fuel. So the average person, my size, and I'm small, right? So put me on the lower end of this average. I need 250 calories per hour every hour on the hour, okay? And even more in really hot conditions when my heart rate is elevated and I'm burning more calories per hour, okay? So shoot for 250 an hour minimum, okay? If you're bigger than me, I'm 5'6", 130-ish. If you're bigger than me or your heart rate tends to run a little bit higher, you're gonna need 300 or 350 per hour, okay? Don't mess around with this. You might think like, oh, I'm not that hungry, I'll be able to get away with it, until you can't. And it's a terrible practice to get into for something like the Grand Canyon. Hold on, is my cat, Max? Max, don't go out that gate. Max, come this way. I'm sorry. Okay, all right, thank you, Maxie. Okay, here he is. Where are you at, Max? There he is. Hi, Maxie. Okay, sorry, Max decided to make a cameo in the video. Okay, so anyway, 250 calories an hour at minimum. Don't get behind, don't mess around with that, okay? You have to learn how to train your stomach to take in regular fuel along these types of endurance journeys, okay? So I've got some examples here of what I take. I've got Stinger Chews. I'm a big fan of Stinger brand because they're pretty clean. There's not a lot of junk or artificial sweeteners in there, and they taste pretty good too. If you like gels, I like Spring. Spring's all natural. Again, no like maltodextrin or chemical shit. It's all real food in there. I love Spring. I've got Stinger waffles, and I've got Bonk Breakers for bars. These are my go-tos. I've used these for years through Ironmans and Rim to Rim to Rims. These are all solid, and I bring all of these on the Canyon depending on, you know, what I'm feeling like. If I want something sweet and chewy, then I'll go for a chew. If I want something substantial, I'll go for the bigger Bonk Breaker, and you know, everything in between. So play around and find a couple of options that you like and start testing them, and make sure that your stomach can handle them and that you can mentally, you know, look forward to at least being able to eat these, because you're not going to want to eat these at some point in the Canyon. But 250 to 300 plus per hour, don't fuck around with that, okay? Next, let's talk about salt. Okay, so in your sweat, you lose two things when you sweat, okay? You lose salt and fluids, right? So as you're sweating more, you're gonna need to replace both of those. And I never cramped during endurance events, even through Ironmans. I'm not a cramper, right? So I always thought that salt was just for people that started to cramp or people that, you know, had some weird deficiency that I didn't have. And it's so not true, even if you're not a cramper, but especially if you're a cramper, and even more especially if when you sweat, you notice like a white film that dries on you, that's salt drying on your skin, okay? That's a highly concentrated amount of salt that you're sweating out. So no matter what your sweat level is, and I've had the test done, okay? There are tests out there that measure your sweat and fluid loss per hour, per activity, and I'm on the lower end of the spectrum, okay? Everybody needs salt, can't stress that enough. I'm on the lower end of the spectrum, and my number is 750 milligrams per hour in normal conditions, not even including out here in this heat, okay? Or at an intense efforts. When your heart rate is higher, when your body's working harder, you're losing more, okay? So remember that. Hotter conditions, harder efforts, more salt, calories, and fluids as well. Okay, so back to salt. So I'm on the low end of salt loss, and I'm 750 per hour. That's a lot, okay? And until I did my first Ironman without replacing salt, and I didn't know how good I could feel until I started putting salt in for my second and definitely for my third Ironman, okay? And so this is a must. Even if you don't think that you're a high salt sweater, even if you have never noticed that you cramped, doesn't matter, put the salt in, okay? So now that I have you convinced, the designer brand is called Base. I can't really recommend them because I think pink Himalayan salt does the exact same thing. So I've just saved this container because it's a nice little container, okay? If you want to pay 8 times more, then get some Base salt on Amazon. If you're okay with the budget brand, which I've used for all my ultra endurance events, just buy some pink Himalayan salt. Any grocery store is gonna have that ground up for you. Okay, then I've got this little container now. This container came with base, okay? But you need something like this. A little Ziploc would work, a little pouch, a small Tupperware container. You need something to put the salt in that's very portable. I love these because it's like a little chapstick tube. You can put it in your pocket or in your hydration bag. And what you do with this thing is you measure it by licks, okay? So what I'll do is I'll flip this little thing open, flip it open, lick the thumb, flip it over. I'll just take some salt right now, why not? Okay, so then flip it over. I got salt there on my thumb. Lick that. That's one lick. As a low salt sweater, I take 2 licks every 40 minutes in the heat, every hour in normal conditions, okay? So everybody on this program needs to be taking at least 2 licks per hour if you're in normal conditions. Now we're all in summer. I'm guessing all of you are gonna be in at least somewhat hot conditions. If you're in Phoenix, then you're on the surface of the sun, like in hell levels of heat. Then you need 2 licks every 40 minutes. And even if you don't think you need this, you do, okay? Because you're not noticing how much you're sweating out here in Phoenix because it dries instantly. So salt, you can also put salt into your drinks. I have some clients that measure by the pinch and they put a pinch in their water. I don't like the taste of that very much, but I put a pinch in my HydroMag, which I'm gonna get to next. Another good thing about buying the base salt, you could buy this maybe just once and you'll get a bunch of these tubes and you'll get this nice little container with this nice little scoop, little tiny scoop. After you buy it once, you probably don't need to buy it again. You have the containers and you can just buy pink Himalayan, but I put a scoop or a pinch into my HydroMag bottles as well. And also my, if you take Scratch or Tailwind or any electrolytes during, Noon would fall into that, put a pinch of your salt in there as well. Now, okay, so I think we've covered salt. If there's any questions, feel free to ask on this video. But let's go to the HydroMag next, electrolytes. So we mostly care about a couple of electrolytes. We don't really care about all of them as far as replacement for endurance events. The big ones are sodium and magnesium, maybe potassium, but really sodium and magnesium are the big electrolytes that we really need to be replacing. So sodium we've just talked about a lot, right? So hopefully we get that one. Now, other electrolyte powders or tabs, really they're just a lot of sugar with some sodium. I personally find it much better to just use HydroMag with sodium sprinkled in, or I like Scratch. If I'm gonna use an electrolyte powder, I really don't use this on the run, I don't like it, but I use it on the bike and I use it for my lifts outside. The electrolyte powder that I recommend, if you really, really want one, is Scratch. Now, if you swear by, Noon or some of the other popular brands and you feel like they're difference makers for you, then feel free to stick with them. I don't think that you need them if you're doing this sodium and this HydroMag. I just think it's redundant. So, and it can be a little bit more of an investment for you if you do that. So anyway, the main electrolyte that we care about aside from sodium is magnesium, and this is HydroMag, okay? And I am on Team HydroMag, so you can get a discount code, 20% off if you use my discount code FIT20, FIT for FitPro, right? FIT20. This shit will change your life, especially in the heat, okay? And it's the reason why I wanted to be on their team, is because this is something that I really believe in. I am not the kind of athlete that's gonna, sign up to be sponsored by something that I don't even use. I think that's dumb. I'm on Team Honey Stinger because that's all I eat during Ironmans. And I'm on Team HydroMag because this shit will change your life, okay? So this is really important. Take a scoop of this stuff every day. If you're out in the heat or you have a really intense training session, you can get up to 2 of these a day. Nobody gets enough magnesium, it's proven. But magnesium, think of it like the master mineral. Think of it like the electricity running through your house, okay? You might be able to flip the switch on and off, but if the electricity is not there, then the switching on and off won't do anything. You have to have the electricity flowing through the infrastructure in order for it to work optimally. And that's what magnesium does. It's that master mineral. It's the electricity through your machine, okay? So you're gonna perform better, recover better, feel better, think better, move better with HydroMag and magnesium. And HydroMag in particular is chemically superior to other magnesiums on the market. Basically, the chemical structure, it's a chelate, and what that means, translate that into it's more efficient. It's gonna get into your cells faster, more efficiently, and be better used because of that. So Think of it like whey protein isolate versus Joe Schmo brand concentrate from Costco or something that's not good, right? Most people know that whey protein isolate is superior, and whey protein concentrate is from concentrate. It's not as good. This magnesium is similar. This is the gold standard. This is the one that you want. And take a scoop of this a day. Tastes really good. I put this, I've actually got a bottle right now that I have after my run this morning. It tastes really good. I put a scoop of this and I put a scoop of the pink Himalayan salt, and I've got 2 of those every day out here in the summer. So now, as far as how much fluid that you're losing, I try to go for 33 ounces per hour in normal conditions, 33 ounces every 40 minutes in hot conditions. Okay, so hopefully you all have your pouches now, your hydration bags that have, let me see, what time is it? Oh, we're good, okay. Your hydration bags that have that 2-liter bladder. So I think if it holds 2 liters, 1 liter is 33 ounces. So there you go. So I'm drinking 1/2 of those an hour or every 40 minutes in hot conditions. Now, something that I don't think that I've said exactly explicitly like this, but something that's worth mentioning, salt and fluid loss are highly individual and highly condition specific. Okay, so keep that in mind. What I'm recommending might be too low for you. You have to start with what I'm recommending, and if you find that you're just not feeling well or that your body's just wanting more, then add more. You need to practice all of your numbers here in the training. That's why the training is so long and so slow to build, so that by the time you get to the canyon, you're like, I know exactly how much I need on the hour, on like clockwork, and it's like a foolproof system. Ideally, I want the canyon to feel fun and relatively easy for you guys. If we train hard enough, the canyon's gonna be just enjoyable. Everybody that got to the canyon last year said it was easier than what they were expecting because they kicked their own asses during training. That is the goal, okay? So we don't want you suffering during the actual trip. We want you to really do the hard work during the training. So you want to perfect all of these systems. These 3 things are the most important things that you can do aside from actually logging the time in the training itself. Fluid, salt, and fuel, okay? Fluid, salt, fuel, hydration, nutrition, and salt. Really important. Okay, so feel free to ask your questions here on this post, but basically all you're doing is learning what's your body expending per hour or per interval, 40 minutes during the training, and what do you need to put back in so that you're breaking even. That's all we're doing here. We're just trying to break even or maybe even top off a little bit more on all of these key nutrients that you're using during your training sessions. And remember, more during the heat, okay? All right, I think I've talked enough. I think that's everything. Any questions, ask them here on the post. If you haven't posted your intro video or booked your hotels or any of that basic stuff, I'm gonna be tracking you down this weekend, okay? Nobody slips through the cracks when it comes with me. So if you haven't done it, do it or I will find you. All right, guys, looking forward to hearing from you. Talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.